Could you tell us all about the Global Investment Forum? It's the sixth edition after 2 years break. And tell us, why did you create this little Davos in Geneva?
We started, thanks for the compliment, the little Davos. I think that's a high ambition, but we started this very simply in 2015 because we realized that a lot of people from the investment world came through Switzerland throughout the year. We saw there could be an opportunity to get them all to come at the same time over a 24-hour period to really exchange about the investment world. There's a lot of exchange on the world economy, on world politics, on global policy, but there's few that go concretely into how can an asset manager, a bank, an investor implement these in their day-to-day life. And we like to use the sentence sometimes that the best way to predict the future is to invest in it. It's not our sentence, but I like to think of that. So we try and bring the best of the investment world here once a year.
And what do you expect from the forum itself and maybe this edition in particular?
We've done it 5 years in a row. The last time we had John Kerry as a keynote, and we've always had great speakers. We always that go from politics all the way to CEOs of company, going through funds and some macroeconomic views. So we really take a top-down approach. We do try to have some conflicting views. So we had Nigel Farage right before the Brexit who came to the forum. These type of speakers that will have different opinions enrich a discussion and also help people make decisions with the full context. So we're not trying to have one global investment forum view that should predominate. We're really trying to get diverse views, and hopefully all investors and participants come out with some good ideas in how to drive their investments in the future.
What example do you have in mind of a good purpose-driven leadership?
The first name that comes to mind is probably Al Gore, and I want to use this example because not only did he do a great film over a decade ago, but he stuck with it. A lot of people, especially in politics, will make great speeches and then not follow through. So being driven by purpose also means sticking to your beliefs when others put them in doubt. And we've gone through that, and he has gone through that. Not only bringing public awareness into this, but also backing investment firms like Generation Capital, which he actually backed to do impactful investment before anyone would. And since then, we've seen that investment space grow. And so he was not only a leader at the political level, but also at a business level. I think that type of, I want to say, leadership is what one should seek. And I can think of other great examples, probably more regional, of entrepreneurs who have done real work to support an ecosystem or support the growth of certain trends. But there'll be many then.
What role, what opportunities do you see for Geneva in a purpose-driven world?
I think Geneva has the opportunity to position itself as the platform for exchange and alignment around the key goals of principle. I jokingly said, we have the Security Council in New York held every year. Well, we should probably have a Climate Council held in Geneva every year, because that's probably as important as, the Security Council, which treats war. We should probably have one that treats the climate issue. Geneva should strive to position itself on something like this that would be concrete, or any other efforts that are being put. So GESDA, for example, the Geneva Science and Diplomacy Anticipator is a great initiative from the state. But again, there should be much more, and it shouldn't just be the state. It should also be the public institutions and the large organizations.
My third question would be, we have gone through this pandemic crisis 2 years. Now we are facing this war in Ukraine, which will also become a global crisis. How do you see the world after that? I mean, how do you think the planet will be when the war will be over?
I don't have a crystal ball, but I'll give my assessment of the situation and kind of how I would look at it. First is, I think that, we as humans are very resilient, and we're very creative in coming up with solutions to problems. So I don't see a doomsday scenario, and there's no reason to panic in the sense of giving up. There's a lot of talk about breaking the system, counter growth. I don't think these are the solutions. What the pandemic has done is given us all time to realize that there is a nature out there that we need to preserve. And as the economy is picking up again, I think there will be a continued consciousness around these matters. So my predictions would be that the future is better. We will go through a tough time in this recession and in this inflationary environment. But if you think about it, these are only going to put even more pressure for climate policy and a new innovation to get us out of the inflationary environment and to get us out of the recession. So while short term one can be negative, you should be optimistic about the medium term trend, because individuals will innovate, will drive inflation down through new technologies, and will grow the economy through new technologies and innovation. And so if we look 2-3 years out, I would assume that there will be a continued trend in ESG and impact investment that will go into every sector, and that will almost become a standard, and capital allocation will start to drive results into these spaces. So I am hopeful that we can address the climate situation, that we can address the social issues. The biggest issue there is government policy, and do they, for some nationalistic reason, throw us into a global war, or hamper this inherent innovation that's happening. I like to think that they'll stay out of the way, and regardless of what the politicians do, we should probably, as private citizens, do what's right. And I think we did that as Switzerland, we did that as Europe, and we'll continue to do that as individuals going forward. So somewhat optimistic about the future, with some consideration for the short term.